Welcome back, Captains, to Starfleet Academy Online. I'm your host and instructor, Hale Bohse, and today's episode we're going to be talking about the Starbase holding. All right, so in today's episode, we're going to go over the Starbase fleet holding for a moment because I think it's one of the very important holdings that you're going to be traveling to a lot for a number of different reasons. First of all, when you get to your fleet holding initially, you're going to be in orbit, so you're going to have to dock with your Starbase. But one of the most incredible things that you can do with your Starbase once you're in the transporter room, like you see me here, is to actually go to talk to the transporter operator from this exact position. When you talk to the transporter operator, you'll notice that you can actually go to directly to the colony world, or you can transwarp to literally any of the fleet holdings that we have. So from this location, you can fast track to all, basically transwarp directly to whatever holding that you're trying to get to. So if you don't know where a holding is on the map, but you need to get to the Spire or to the dilithium mine or something like that, and you don't know where it is in the beta quadrant or in the alpha quadrant, then don't worry about it. Just come straight to your fleet and use the transwarp. The more developed your fleet is, the more of those transwarp capabilities you're going to have. So that's just a side note. But getting in here, there's a lot of things that we're going to want to cover. And Lant is here with me today. Say hi, Lant.
Hey guys.
There he is. And so if you just take a look over here, we're going to run over to probably the most important room, or one of them, and that's straight ahead when you're going from the transporter room. So looking in here, there's a few different things of note that you're going to want to look at. First of all, this is the room, if you go to the left over here, where that's where your bank is. If you can go over to the other side, this console over here, this is going to be the mail console. And then actually, as you're developing your duty officer commendations, as you progress, you can actually use this store right here, if your fleet has access to it already, to purchase any of the other duty officers that you did not choose for free when you advanced to that next rank. And obviously, there's a lot of different ones, the Epic being the most important. The Officer of the Watch is here if you want to try to do a mission that'll give you a few extra, fleet marks. That's great. But probably the most important thing in this room that you can find is this personnel officer right here. And the reason it's important is because if you open it up, you'll notice that you can purchase directly random duty officers. Now, I say random because if you do this, the common or the regular duty officers, they're less expensive, and for even for the higher ranks, but you really don't know what you're going to get. And you can get anything from civilian, engineering, science, or tactical. But then, of course, you can target them specifically over here by checking the different categories, and that's going to help you quite a bit. Finally, that'll be a great way to help you really build out your duty officer listings and enhance your ability to go further a lot faster with that. And then let's say that you're maxed out in your commendation holdings. You've maxed out all of your different holdings. Let's take a look. I'll show you where you can see what I mean by this. Like, all your different runs are rank 4 or above. So what do you do after that? Well, that's 100,000 points. So anything after any 10,000 extra on top of that 100,000. So once you hit 110,000, you can go to this console right here, and you can do something that's called a commendation report. And a commendation report is just another way to earn some awesome fleet marks. It takes about 8 hours to do. By beginning an assignment, basically you've set a duty officer mission out, and the reward for doing this, you spend 10,000 commendation points, and you get like 100 fleet marks for that, and to donate to the fleet and everything. So that's pretty special in order to increase your ability to do that. So let's go over to the next room, because I think it's going to be really important, and that's just on the other side of the room over here, another ramp down past the turbo lift. So if you come down this other ramp, here's where the stores are. And the very first one on the right here is probably one of my favorites, because this is where you can actually buy not just consoles and weapons and engines and stuff that are fleet gear, but also the one that I pay attention to the most is the hangar pets, because if you have a carrier and you like having pets, this is a great one to actually pick up the elite fleet version of those pets. They're the best ones that you can get in game, and these are definitely worth the cost. So 100,000 fleet credits and almost 40,000 dilithium, but worth it. Okay, so this console over here. Tell us a little bit about this, Lant.
Right, so this console right here is the tailor for the Starbase. For you RPers out there, there is two custom tailor outfits located on this tailor. And another little side thing is that for you space Barbies out there, the fleet uniform that can be created when you join a fleet can also be accessed through this tailor as well.
So here's the Odyssey uniforms that he was talking about, and actually, that is the uniform that I'm wearing right now. Is the Odyssey dress jacket. So if you want to see what it looks like, here it is. That's what I'm wearing right now, and I'm wearing the tactical version of that. So thank you for bringing that up, Lant. And over here, if you look over here, this is another. This is the quartermaster, and this is a really important vendor, and a lot of people overlook this one. But if you look at the store, you'll notice that there is some great boosts that you can get here, specifically with engineering, tactical, and science. It'll increase, if you take a look, your skill boost. And you can only have one of each active at a time, but it increases 10 to your space science skills or your space tactical skills or your space engineering skills for like 4 hours in this case, which is fantastic. So if you just want that extra little boost to help you be a little more effective in your missions, this is a great one to do. And then of course there's also the fleet mark bonus ones that you can pick up, which when you're farming fleet credits and you just want more fleet credits to buy more stuff, this is a great way to help increase the amount of fleet bonus fleet marks that you're going to get from doing TFOs or other missions and stuff. So definitely a great way to increase your load there. But let's move on to this other console. Lant, why don't you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so right here you've got the ground supplies office. Now, if you look at that, the store for that contains all of the energy weapon fleet items. It also has melee and it has the advanced and elite armor and shields. Now, something to point out, obviously, we'll be going into more detail in this later on, but one of the best armor for tactical characters is actually contained here, which is the advanced armor, not elite, which actually contains the crit D mod with 80% crit severity. So, definitely something to keep a note of here.
Yeah, so this crit D mod, that's actually a really important thing for that. That's a great set of armor to get a hold of, especially if you're just starting out. That'll be a really good one to continue with. So thank you for that, Lant. The next thing that we're going to want to talk about though is because there's a lot of other little things in this fleet that we're not showing you, and I think it'll be kind of fun to let you explore that on your own and kind of check it out for yourself. There's some fun little features. But in terms of importance, we're going to get in the turbo lift now here, and we're going to go down to the tactical area. So, Lant, why don't you tell us what we can find down here?
So yeah, there's three levels you can visit through the turbo lift. You've got the tactical engineering and science. On the tactical one, the unique thing you're going to find there is actually a duty officer, which will give you access to military and so it has access to military and espionage duty officer missions from that area, which you can use to level those up. And it also has the ability to purchase fleet ships. Another place to purchase that would actually be ESD, but if you're in here in the area, why not?
Yeah, so this is where you can actually pick up those fleet ships. Yes, you can do it in ESD, but it's a nice little convenience that you can do in your fleet if you want to do it. And so that's pretty much it for this level. Those are the most important things that you might want to look at and use on a regular basis. Let's take a look at the next one. How about engineering? What's over there? So essentially, here, as far as the engineering and science levels, I guess the most important thing that you need to know is they each have their respective duty officer that you can go to do missions within that area, and you know, you can also repair your ship or get checked up and repair your person if they're injured here on the starbase, and that's actually free. So that's something that you can take advantage of if you don't have any of those consumables to do it out in the field. So take a look at that. That's pretty much it for the starbase. That's going to be important as far as like physically. Now let's take a look at the holding itself. One of the things you're going to need to learn, depending on what your tier is, if you take a look at the status, it'll tell you by selecting the tier what is unlocked by each of those tiers. It also tells you what to contribute in each of these projects. And so, you know, make sure that you're donating to that, because provisions are a thing. And when we say provisions, what we mean in terms of a fleet provision is that you actually, when somebody in the fleet buys something from your fleet starbase, it consumes a provision of whatever type of item that you bought. So here are all the provisions that are stocked for our people, and then people can come in and use that so long as I have provisions available. And the neat thing about jumping fleets is if you go to somebody else's fleet because or their starbase because it has a more developed starbase than the one that you're in, as long as your starbase that you're actually active, you know, your fleet, even if it's not tier 5, but you want to get a fleet starship, you can go get invited to another starbase, and you can get a tier 6 starship from that starbase as long as your starbase has the provisions for it. So that's like a really important thing. You can, as long as your starbase has provisions for stuff, even if they're not far enough in development to offer you that, you could go to another more developed fleet and still pick up that stuff with your own fleet provisions. So it doesn't even cost anybody else anything, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, you can check out the leaderboards to see who's donated the most into each respective holding. But definitely cool to look at and see. So, yeah, I think that covers it for the Starbase here. I want to thank you all for tuning in. As always, Lant, thank you so much for being a part of this and helping us out. I also want to, you know, hey, maybe we missed something important that you thought was important about the Starbase holding. You know, tell us in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you have any questions about anything here, as always, we want to thank you for tuning in. And make sure you give us a hail, Bohse. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. And don't always remember, boldly go.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you.